Hi everyone. So here is next episode of Beyond Replication, Aaron and Mila, and we're going to be talking about our Bali experience. So this is going to be more of a personal share rather than astrology, but let's see how it goes. We don't have a script ready, so where are we going to take this?
Well, we're back. We're
Yeah,
back from Bali.
we made it through China.
Yeah, how long was the flight? 11 hours from the UK to China to Shanghai. I wanted to call it Shanglo, but we'll go with Shanghai. And then 11 hours there in the airport, and then 6.5 hours to Denpasar down in Bali.
And the same going back. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we're taking you through our whole journey. So it all started kind of hectic. We found out the day before that we were changed onto different flights. So rather than flying in the evening, we had to fly in the morning, buy a new train tickets, everything, and then wait in Shanghai airport for 11 hours instead of five. But then coming back, we only waited five, so that was good. And yeah, there was a whole experience in Shanghai. No offense to anyone, but this is the last time I ever flew through Shanghai with this airline, which we're not gonna name. But yeah, Bali was beyond our expectations. In case of Aaron, not having any expectations. In case of me, definitely very different to what I anticipated. Only being there before with the cruise ships, working on a cruise ships about two or three times. Yeah, but it's different to actually experience it on a day-by-day basis for 5.5 weeks. So we wanted to share some of that real experience.
Yeah, it's interesting. You go there, you see the movies, you hear people talk, but when you're there, it's completely different story. So you haven't been in the heat and the humidity for a long time. That's the first thing you notice. Then it is the sheer amount of motorcycles is the next thing you notice, which is interesting. It's cool. And then there's these little market stores everywhere. What was it? Alpha Mart?
Yeah, Alpha Mart and
Yeah.
Indie Mart, I think.
Yeah. Indie Mart and Alpha Mart and the selection of ice cream. That's the next thing you notice. It was good. You get there, it's hot, it's humid, it's late. And it was interesting because you could see all the motorcycles, but it was so late at night that there was only a few people out on the roads.
Yeah, we landed just before midnight, so we didn't get to our first accommodation till like 1 in the morning.
Yeah. And then the accommodations are beautiful. Every place we chose was just magnificent design, and the architecture was very good, and the woodwork is phenomenal. They have a lot of excellent craftsmen there. And it's similar to Mexico in that precision isn't like what people um, they don't hold precision in a as a standard. They hold it as a means for just good enough. And that works for most things. So the construction is good enough and it's functional. And they focus more on the art and the beauty and the aesthetics, which is nice.
Yeah, and the energy, how we perceived it from our experience was like more yin. The energy of Bali being more yin, the energy of Mexico being more yang, but in a same being the same, just different, like being the perfect opposite of the whole. So yeah, definitely Bali offers the opportunity to, especially being a woman, that's something we observe that they address women rather than men. They are much more inclined towards the feminine than the masculine. Even the expression is more feminine. Um, so yeah, so that is a good place, a good opportunity to really learn to receive and also connect with the sense of abundance. The Indonesian rupiah being so devalued that $1 is 16,000 rupiah, or if you are with pounds, then one GBP is 22,000 rupiah roughly. So you're walking around being practically a millionaire with hundreds and thousands in your pockets, even though it's not worth much. But it's a great place where you really have the opportunity to feel abundant, no matter how little or how much you have. And obviously, depending on where you're coming from and what you seek in, you might observe and experience the place differently. For
Mhm.
some, it could be dirty and poor. For me, traveling the whole world and being all over the place, I've not perceived Bali that way. It was very abundant because the things that matter to me in my experience of this life, of this incarnation, like nature, freedom, they were there in abundance. The weather was beautiful. For the entire time, we had mostly sunny weather. It didn't start very promising with the weather in Ubud. We were one night in Denpasar and 1 week in Ubud before we move more north, to the north of the island. But yeah, the few days we spent in Ubud was on-off raining. We think it's mostly due to the smog and exhaust and the pollution over there.
Mhm.
But yeah, then all our time we spent in the north of the island, which was 3 weeks. It was beautiful, sunny weather. So once again, there is a lot of abundance to be found, um, depending what you look for, and definitely having the opportunity to feel abundant, being surrounded by so much lushness and beauty. And as Aaron mentioned, people are, it's more about the practicality, like, okay, this will do, this will work. And also, people are living on their own schedule, like um, there is no schedule. People live on their own schedule, and there is no schedule. Like they do their 3 times a day ceremonies with the temples and stuff, but everybody's on their own schedule.
Yeah, people are very laid back and they ritualize meaning into the mundane. You think it's all like it's going to be a very spiritual place, and it is. The energy of the land itself is very spiritual, and there's a peace in the people, and they do ritualize meaning into what they do, but a lot of it is religious. It's like Hinduism is the dominant religion there. And so, even though they're very ritualistic with um, their 3 times a day, putting out the offerings to the gods and cleaning up their little shrines. Everyone has a shrine in their backyard. They don't really seem to realize the sacredness of life in other ways. So they'll be burning garbage everywhere, plastic. There's trash all over the place. There's no sidewalks, and the ones that are there are very they might
Dangerous.
not be real, like because I fell through a sidewalk walking around. But
Dirt.
yeah, and they don't it's strange because there's a pecking order on the road, cars because they're the biggest, then motorcycles, and then bikes, and then people. So they don't like you on the roads because you're in the way, but there's no other way to walk. So you got to be on the roads. So it's weird, it's a strange. Also, I like to see who's coming towards me. So I like to walk towards traffic, but that seemed to agitate a lot of people. So I just decided we're going to walk on the other side, or Mila did. And that seemed to work for people, but there's just a lot of strange nuance in the psyche of the people there. And they are very laid back and very family oriented and community oriented, and they talk to you like they've known you forever. And when they talk to one another, they seem like extended family, like there's a very close relational dynamic with
Mm.
consensus reality there. People are very open. And yeah, the money itself is like there's so many zeros. I'm not used to counting that many zeros. So I kept like giving the wrong bills, like 2,000 or 20,000, And some of the people, they'll try and play with you so you give them more money and then they just pocket the change. And that was some of the pettiness that I experienced with a few of the people at the local convenience stores. But other than that, people are pretty cool.
Yeah, it was quite funny, like you said, you mentioned that with regards to the road, actually the order goes this way. The number one are the bikes because everybody has a bike. It's and I'm sure people who visited Southeast Asia, they experience this in many places. Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, everywhere is the same. You see like a mother, father, and four kids or three kids on one bike. Nobody has any helmet. It's just like that's just how it is. And then you can see like small kids, 5 7 year
Mm.
old with a bike just going up and down the road. We were being told that they don't go on the main roads and stuff, but they're already like in the proximity of the neighborhood, they'll be practicing. So we start from the babyhood. We even seen a woman driving like crazy high hill with a baby in one hand and holding the bike in the other. You see all sorts of things like that, but that's normal. That's normal for them. They don't have the like, oh my God, what might happen mentality, like danger everywhere stuff. They just live their life. They just live their life, and most of the time things don't go bad. Like good things happen. Everything just goes like normal, everyday normal life. Like we've been there for 5.5 weeks and never experienced or observed accident. Like there were some close cuts with the Gojek, the way of transportation. You don't have an Uber, you have a Gojek. You can either get a Go car or Go ride, which is a driver with the bike. And we never seen or experienced any accidents. And being on the Gojek, like getting from place to place, if you don't ride the bike yourself, it is like being a part of the computer game. It's literally like this like crazy energy of like a chase in a computer game, isn't it? And yeah, it's really exciting. First, we were a little bit like, oh, like, do we trust someone? And Aaron was like, well, I don't trust them with my, most prized possession, like to give me to some guy on their bike he doesn't know and stuff. But um, I never felt danger. I never felt threatened apart from that one day we went to Canggu.
Mm.
So yeah, so our itinerary went like one night in the Pasar, one week in Ubud, and then we got a little bit tired of the noise. We went to this place called Mingwi, which was very like just locals. There was nothing for me to eat, being vegetarian. So we were like, okay, well, we were going to stay there for a week. We stayed for 3 nights. Also, the Airbnb was slightly misrepresented, not quite what was described. And during that 3 days period, we went to Canggu, which is one of the big touristic hub, which is not something we personally resonated with. It is good for people who are looking for LA in Bali, or
Mhm.
the usual things you can find in home, being from a big city in the US or elsewhere. It is not something I resonated personally going to Bali. I didn't want to experience LA in Bali. Like this is not something I am going to Bali to seek, right? Like, I mean, each to their own, and that's why these places are. And we've seen multiple places which were more Western than Balinese, and that's because there is obviously a diversity of tourists that come to Bali, and there is something for everyone. But the Canggu was a place that I don't wish to come back to ever in my life. We spent only a day there, just a day trip, and yeah, that was the only time when I felt uncomfortable. Where the Gojek drivers were like just trying to pick us up from the street and coming up with crazy amount of money they wanted for a ride back to Mingwi, and so that was the only time where I didn't feel comfortable hitching a ride. So we just use the app, which is what I personally would recommend to people going to Bali. Just book through the app. Don't pick up drivers on the road, especially in a busy touristic places like Canggu or maybe even Ubud. And yeah, and then we just went up north, and that's actually we spent 3 days in a place called Lovina, and that's when we had the best time. It's very interesting how Bali, being such a small island, it's so diverse, the landscape. Like you feel the south more like rainforest, the middle of the island there were like lakes and mountains, and you feel kind of like in Europe, and then the north being very like a Caribbean. We felt kind of like in Mexico. So it was very awesome. And also The spectrum of food they can grow is very interesting. They can grow strawberries and they can grow papayas and pineapples and dragon fruit,
Avocados.
avocados, but they quite different tasting to the ones we experience in Mexico. Like everything in Bali is very gentle and soft and feminine. Like even the taste, that maybe that's why they use so much spice. But yeah, so that was very interesting experience that you can't really have until you get there. This is not something that you can experience just watching movies or asking ChatGPT. So yeah, definitely going to Bali, recommend to try the local flavors.
Yeah, we spent 3 weeks in Lovina.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
And yeah, it definitely was not Eat, Pray, Love. I think that's like from 1990, that kind of Bali. You might be able to find areas like that. But so there's different types of people everywhere you go, but there are in Lovina we found a lot more real spiritual people. Like they live in tune with the metaphysic cosmos within their own lives. They're in touch with spirituality. And even though they had normal jobs and they're conducting life as if they need to make money, and provide for their families, they still had a gentle spirit to them. And one guy I met who was selling paintings, he was a big Hindu, I wouldn't say scholar, but he was involved with their church, the local temples. And he was big on, he'd always share little teachings with me whenever he saw me, because we purchased a couple paintings from him. And he had one long dread in the back of his hair. Ketut was his name. And his wife, Wyan, owned a shop where she sold dresses and shirts. And if you go to Lavina or a lot of these market areas, you'll find 20 to 30 shops where people are selling sarongs and shirts and dresses and carvings and paintings and all sorts of different things you can take back, home with you. And Wyan, she didn't read or write.
Hmm.
They grew up in a small village, but she could speak well. And it's like, it was so cool to meet someone who never learned to read or write. To me, that was amazing because it's like she's free of the programming. She's just living her life the best way she knows how, and it's working.
Hmm.
And her husband, Ketut, he could read and write a little bit, but that's not what's important to the people that are living there. It's like, how do you communicate? How do you engage with people personally, one on one, like as a human being? And I found that fascinating because most of the people there are just great communicators. And so many of them are just salesy as hell. Like you're walking and it's like it's born into them years of selling things. They just know how to spark up conversations and get you invested in engaging in time. And it was good practice for me to set boundaries and not get upset with people and learn how to actually, turn a conversation into something which is a mutual reception rather than it's about money, it's about a product, it's about trying to sell an idea. It was good practice for me to get in tune with people who are uh, pretty, I guess, in your face with their sales tactics and turn the narrative and turn the story and turn the conversation into something else. So it was fun that way.
Yeah, until you get to the end of 3 weeks being in the same place and the same person tries to sell you the same thing, and each time they try to sell it to you, they want more money for it, and I just lost my patience. I was like, oh yeah, it seems like your discount has gone down and the price has gone up. So yeah, it's definitely an opportunity to get into the game of bartering, because like as many people who visited Asia or Southeast Asia especially, people love bartering and negotiating over the price. So you never pay what you've been asked to pay, because the
Hmm.
price is at least doubled if not tripled. So usually like the half of the asking price is more close to the reality. And there was something that I called the fair price. I knew that in many cases we maybe could try to push for lower price, but it was something that I had like established in my mind that okay, this is the price which I feel would be fair for me and fair for the person, where I don't feel that they would be missing out on too much profit, and also I won't be overpaying for something. And this is what I try to generally strive towards, like fair price, not necessarily cheap price, but a fair price for all parties involved. And yeah, being especially while we were in Lovina, we found out quite funny how they try to like make money of things they don't actually own, like the
Yeah.
dolphin watch, right? Like, oh yeah, did you see the dolphin? So like everybody had all these dolphin agents, that were trying to get you to come and see the dolphins, which was an experience. It's not like we wouldn't like to repeat, but we'd like to repeat in a completely different setting and environment, preferably not at the busy hour and not at the high season, because you end up going on the ocean, well, sea technically, right? Sea
The
of Bali,
Bali Sea.
Bali Sea, with like hundreds of boats and chasing after the dolphins, technically abusing them. But yeah, it was an experience, and at least we could then like say to everyone every day stopping us to go to watch dolphins that, oh yeah, we already seen it now.
Yeah.
But the other thing we experience and observe is that people are highly psychic and intuitive,
Hmm.
because like when we first came up north, everybody was offering us tours, and then suddenly, without saying anything to anyone, they started offering us a drive when we were just about to leave, looking for how we were going to get back to Ubud. And yeah, and then suddenly it gone from being offered all these tours to, oh yeah, do you have a ride? How long you staying? So people are very attuned. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you're not on technology every day or engaged through the internet or even through the in the West, there's a lot of cultural norms which are very fake and just communal logos. It's just you get programmed into interacting with people a certain way. And because you repress your own emotional states, you're not open to reading the emotions of others. You're just all business. And I'm not saying that people in Bali aren't like that, but they have a different communal language there. They read the emotions. They can pick up the energy of people. They can, I mean, of course, we're tourists, so they've seen thousands of tourists. They know the general mode of energy that we're in when we come there. We're looking to enjoy the beauty and the nature and buy things and whatever, but they can read your energy very quickly. And I feel like it's because they're not taking up so much of their consciousness with technology and material possessions and just the etiquette of modern society. It's a more simple existence over there, and people are tuned into the land, tuned into themselves more. So the spiritual life there is just in the mundane, and you can see it in a lot of the people. And it was interesting, one of the places we stayed, at night you could hear like a crowd of people next door, and I thought it was like a religious cult or something, like the frog cult I was calling it, because they would start like like doing this weird frog call at night, and I was like, oh, and they're playing music and stuff, and I was like, oh, is this some like emerging men's group? And then
Brotherhood.
yeah, like some brotherhood of, but then it just happened so much. I look over the wall and it's like a cockfighting over there, like chicken fight.
Yeah, rooster
And
fight.
they have like a little mini like bar set up and stores, and it's just in some backyard. And so this went on like every few nights, and they would get on the loudspeaker on Friday nights and go crazy. Like doing the announcements, it was like pro wrestling mixed with some like mantras and stuff. It was very interesting, but then find out that's an illegal operation. But when the police come, they just give them a little money and the police leave. So it is very it's what do you got? If you have the money or you have the contacts, you can pretty much do what you want there within reason. I never felt threatened. I don't think there's any real dark energy in Bali. It's just, the cockfighting is like that was the closest to the darkness we got. And it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and then also some tips for people with regards to the visa situation. So um, I tried to do some research regarding the B1, the 30-day tourist visa, which you can get it on arrival. But we were going for over 30 days, and we knew we were going to stay over 30 days. So we applied online prior to going because by the research I did, it said that, okay, if you apply online, you can get the extension, the additional 30 days online. You just pay and that's it, you get your extension. About a week before our visa was due to expire, I was just like, okay, well, let's get the extension then, right? So we scanned the code, because you can't get it right away. Like you have to activate it by arrival. And also there's another thing you have to do, which apparently we were supposed to do prior to arrival, some kind of declaration form, but you can just do it at the airport and nobody cared that you haven't done it like 24 hours prior, which is apparently the cutoff line when you're supposed to do it. So they are very relaxed with regards to these things. If you have done your B1 online, then you just come, they scan you, you go, like it's very fast procedure getting through the airport. Then if you haven't done it, then you just have to queue and pay at the airport, and then they give it to you there. So if you stay in for less than a month, then you can do it either way. And then what we weren't aware of with regards to the extension is that you still have to go to the embassy either way. So we were under the assumption that you just do it all online, right? You did it online first time, second time you do it online. So we got ourselves into a little bit of a situation because it automatically copies all your data that you provided when you were applying for your visa initially. So we just copy pasted everything the same with our Ubud address as our first place of stay, even though at the time of applying for extension, we were in the north of Ireland in Lovina. And we submitted and then we paid and then we got an email that, okay, they receive our application. And then they said, okay, and now you get your ass over to the nearest immigration office for your picture taking. So we're like, all right, and you have apparently 3 days to do it, or otherwise it's going to delay your application and getting the extension. So the next day, fortunately, there was an immigration office very close by in Singaraja, which cost us like 60 cents with Gojek to get to. It was only about 10 minutes on a bike to get from where we were. And then we get there, and the lady says that you gotta go to Denpasar, which is on the opposite side of the island. And like, whoa, like why? Like we already done everything, and we didn't even know we were supposed to, come to the immigration office at all. And she said, no, of course you have to come to immigration office. We have to take your pictures and to see you. And she said that, and we were like staying in the north of, we did extend our stay. We changed our itinerary so many times. And we were not planning to go back to Denpasar until our departure in the next 2.5 weeks. And then at the end, we were very lucky because they did manage to change our address. So we just provided our address at the time that proved that we were staying there in a location. And we had to wait 3 days for the head office to approve whether we were able to change it, like they would change it for us, or whether we'll have to get our ass over to Denpasar just for picture taking. So just for everybody's information, whether you apply online or not, you still have to go to the immigration office, which we were quite frustrated about because we were like, well, then why do they even offer the option to apply online if you
Yeah.
still have to go to immigration office for the same thing you do online on your own? They still take your picture, photocopy your passport, and everything gets done again by them. So just so you are all aware, if you're doing the application online for the B1, it's okay for your arrival, but for the extension, you still have to go to the immigration office. So
Mm.
just to make sure that you use the address that you are currently staying in rather than the one, some generic one, if you are moving around the island, because you will be sent to the immigration office closest to the address you provided, which we weren't aware of. So this is something for us to know for the next time. But we were very lucky because, as I mentioned, we were very grateful and blessed to have a help, and they did honor our situation and didn't make us go to Denpasar. So
Mhm.
that's something from the practical point of view to share.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good tip, a pro tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the food, so they have great food, the Balinese food, the Indonesian food, and the Western food. So service is a huge aspect of their
Mm,
economy and tourism. And there's an industry of creative artists, just phenomenal woodworkers, painters, craftsmen of all
mm,
sorts. And the women and the people who are making the dresses, they can make them quick and
mm,
very precise. They have, I don't know, they do come up with some out of the box ideas, and they make amazing jewelry. And that whole island is just full of artists.
mm,
It's just in the people. In the food, like if you want good coffee, they've got it. I did have the Civet Cat, the Luwak coffee. And basically, that's a cat that craps the beans out. It ferments the beans and they wash it a few times, grind it up, and then you can have it. It's the strength. It has a lot of potency in the actual caffeine, but it doesn't have as much caffeine or flavor as a normal coffee. But supposedly it has a lot more energy. I don't know. I felt normal after having one. I didn't come down with any strange like effects. But they also do have a lot of good coffees if you like lattes, mochas, things like that. They've got every town, well, almost every town has a few decent coffee shops and reasonably priced. I mean, for the locals, they're not going to be drinking that stuff because it's just outrageously priced for them.
mhm,
But for us coming from the West, it was about half the cost of a coffee for
mm.
the same. I mean, some of it was higher quality, but yeah, if you want good food, they've got it. And if you want more affordable good food, you can go to the
Wow.
warungs and you can go to the markets where they have multiple warungs set up. And the food, they'll do fried rice or fried noodles, or they got fish, they've got beef, they've got chicken and pork, all sorts of options there. And I like the nasi goreng and the chop choy. The only thing I didn't like is that they do use a lot of like palm oil and vegetable oil to fry. And I don't like seed oils, honestly. And so if you're looking to eat healthier, you got to find a place that cooks with olive oil
Mm.
or avocado oil and
Coconut.
yeah, coconut oil. But the locals don't seem to care or know. And maybe that's why it doesn't seem to affect them because they don't have the knowledge. But it's like, so you got to just be weary of where you're going. If you care about not consuming seed oils, then warungs aren't the place to go. You have to go to restaurants that are catered to the
Western
Western mind. But there was a very good Italian restaurant we went to a few times.
in Lovina.
Yeah, in Lovina, and the pizza was phenomenal.
It was owned by an Italian, and me having been to Italy in the past, I can say that it was exactly the same quality as in Italy. Literally, you felt like you were eating in Italy.
Hmm. Yeah, and what else? There was a few good places that were right on the beach. So as you're eating, you're sitting in the sand and the ocean's there. So that was kind of nice. And walking around at night, even at night, the people you run into, they're different, but they're friendly. And we're walking one night and this guy just comes out of the shadows and goes, "Yes, plankton." And it's like, plankton, I'm thinking, no thanks. We thought it was like some kind of weird street drug or something, like people are snorting plankton or something. Because it was so bizarre the way the guy acted. And there's a little group of people just sitting in the sand, and after a few nights of this guy asking us, we realized there's plankton tours. You can go out in the boats and look at the glow in the dark plankton. But yeah, it was kind of funny. It's just there's a different crowd at night, and the sun in the day is immensely powerful. So I got burned to hell there, but wore a lot of I don't like putting sunscreen on, but I did there because it was an intense sun.
It was from early on, from about eight,
Hmm.
no, maybe not eight, but nine, 9:30.
Yeah.
So the sun, like it was like about 12 hours of sun, right? And it was pretty much full on sun blast, UV high from about 9:30. So even at 10 o'clock a.m., you could already feel the sun, and it was ongoing till about 5. So normally, like in Mexico, we usually go out about 4, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and we never wear sunscreen in Mexico unless we go for like a whole day. So then we put the sunscreen on, and we don't need it. In Mexico, after 4, 5 o'clock, you don't really need sunscreen. You don't really get burned. But in Bali, you can get burned even at 5 o'clock. Like the sun is pretty
Yeah,
much
even
non-stop.
9:30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
non-stop. Like you don't really get a break from the UV. So it is really. I am not
Intense.
definitely one to promote sunscreens unless they are source with the mindfulness, but you have to choose your poison with this regard because it is powerful, and same for mosquitoes.
Yeah.
There is no avoiding mosquitoes no matter what you try. I had the eucalyptus lemon, which is apparently as powerful as DEET. It works for Mexican mosquitoes. It does not work for Balinese mosquitoes. They still feast on you. And yeah, and definitely beware of the geckos. And they definitely are very loud and they like to talk, and the frogs. So that was definitely our first week of ubud, like not being able to sleep to start with because always some kind of noises, the frogs coming into the room and stuff. So you are in a wildness, no matter like how luxurious your place, they can get in. It's like you still one step away from the nature because majority of the I mean, we didn't stay in a hotel. It's not our thing. We stayed in Airbnbs in every place we stayed in. But they use natural materials. Like most of the places are made of wood or bamboo, and there is always some kind of hole somewhere, so they
Yeah.
get in.
It's like they're in tune with nature. A lot of the locals don't use AC.
Hmm,
It's just the tourists that use it. So a lot of the designs, there's a lot of airflow. So I mean, that's good. At night, it's comfortable.
hmm.
It's just in the daytime, it gets a little steamy.
For us, they
Yeah.
used to it.
Yeah, I think you can get used to it, but I don't know. It just depends on if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so definitely interesting place to visit. And yeah, like Aaron was saying about the food, again, I'm a vegetarian, so this is where I really had to eat my humble pie and admit my entitlement, I guess, or where am I a little bit spoiled by the convenience, and I realized that I don't want to spend whole day being hungry looking for food. That's something that was a hard lesson for me to learn in Bali. I am not much of a person to be thinking about the food all day, but when you're hungry, I definitely don't want to waste the days just looking for food. So this is something that I very quickly realized when we were in Mengwi, that I could not stay there for a long period of time because there was almost nothing to eat for people who are vegetarians.
Mhm.
Forget about being vegan. Absolutely forget about that. The best places, obviously, to cater to vegan are Ubud
Yeah.
and maybe probably Canggu,
Honeymoon,
but
yeah.
the westernized parts of Bali. You can eat as a vegetarian in other parts of Bali. Doesn't have to be Ubud, but vegan is more difficult. But yeah, definitely in the north, we experienced a good balance where there was enough convenience. We had plenty of choices. Even I, as a vegetarian, could easily find things to eat, but it wasn't as busy or as touristic as it
Yeah.
was more in like Ubud or more south. We also experienced for one day just before we left, we went to Sanur, which was the southeast, right? It was right. It was about 25 to 30 minutes from Denpasar. We were staying in the north of Denpasar. And this is one of the few places in Bali that has the so-called white beach. It's a yellow beach, but it's for them is white sand. Because majority of Bali has the black sand because of being a volcanic island.
Very hot.
It was the black sounds is incredibly like scorching for your feet, so just be mindful. But yeah, the white sand beach was very much like in Mexico, and it was absolutely stunning. And this is again where we felt like we weren't really in Bali. There were so many hotels and many especially Germans, French, Australians
Mhm.
predominantly, obviously because it's so close to Australia. So it was a beautiful place to visit, Sanur. A lot of convenience, a lot of great restaurants. We went to Italian restaurant, again owned by an Italian, different type of pizza to the one we experienced in Lovina, but still very good. Affordable, good prices. The gelato was amazing,
Mhm.
fantastic. Definitely recommend. What was the place called? Massimo Italian.
Awesome.
Yeah, Massimo Italian. Definitely recommend anybody going to Sanur. Um, However, I personally would not want to stay in Sanur. Like we said that we like the place we found in Denpasar, the Joglo. It was very nice, small but very cozy. And we personally, for us, the way we like things, we prefer to get the Gojek and go to Sanur for a day and then come back to Denpasar rather than stay in Sanur, because it was just a bit, I don't know, just a bit too posh.
Mm.
Too posh.
Yeah, like strategy wise, it's good to have a good, comfortable place with good food that you like nearby. That way, if you're not looking for food
Mm.
or looking for something to eat when you're hungry, you want something that you're going to be comfortable with or can eat. And the place we stayed, they had amazing chefs, like
Home
right
cooking.
there. Yeah, home cooked meals. And that was just part of the package. I mean, you have to pay for it, obviously, but it's connected to the Joglo where we're staying. And then you have the convenience. You can go to different places
Mm.
and, experiment with different restaurants or just explore. And yeah, it's a good place to be. The cost of living is cheaper. I can tell it's rising.
Mm.
There's a lot of people selling their land, selling rice fields to make
Hotels.
buildings. So, so I mean, I don't think the tourists are to blame. I think it's greedy people that are to blame. And it's just Wintico is everywhere in this world. And it's very evident there because it's a microcosm of the macrocosm. You've got all types of people coming there. You've got all the biodiversity of the world on one island. You can grow anything on the island. And it's just like a society like any other. You have all classes, all types of people, in this small area. They may be tuned to a different way of being, but when you get money involved, people tend to fall into the greed energy. It doesn't matter where you are. It's just part of the so-called colonialism or the societal program. At this time, our societies are rising to a peak level where devolution is starting to kick in, and we we either take it as, well, the legacy system and all that was good is being taken from us, they're crumbling, or we can look at it like, oh, we're heading into this technical age where everyone's going to be given the same opportunities, lowest common denominator, technocracy. But I feel those two stories, those polarities aren't actually what's happening. I think as with the people we've met there and people around the world, it's how do you get in tune with yourself and with the land, and how can you build community and engage with community, even different minded people? Where do you find common ground? How can you make that the consciousness, the bridge to consciousness, rather than the idea of the future or the past? So this is what I felt after going there, that you still can create and be part of this world without destroying it. And you can also, support people in their dreams so long as they're not there to destroy this world or take away your freedoms, take away the freedoms of others.
Yeah, the one thing that we definitely like didn't agree with was like the touristic traps. They are free for the locals or very
Yeah.
lowly price, but they you as a tourist have to pay. It's not a crazy amount of money, only like $10 in most places for entry, like going to see all the different temples. On I think they were mostly 150,000, which is just under $10 per person. But the one thing that we disagreed with was highly disagree with, and this is just a personal opinion, is to be charged to go to see waterfalls, because like I understand with the temples obviously it takes upkeep and it is the culture, is the religion and stuff, and you have a choice, you don't have to go to see it if you don't want to. Obviously Bali is all about temples, but you can see temples everywhere. You don't really have to pay for it. Everybody's got, there's more temples than houses. But the waterfalls and hot springs, personally, I don't agree with being charged for something that is in nature, because this should be accessible and available for everyone. So this is where, you can again see the Bantico energy of just like trying to monetize, like just put a person like on a staircase that leads you to the waterfall and just like, oh, if you don't pay, you can't go to see a waterfall. So that was a little bit like, something that
Stupid.
I uh, personally didn't agree with. Again, it's just a personal opinion. Obviously, you go to Bali to support local economy. The flights there, unless you live in Asia, are not cheap. By no means, it's a long flight for most people. Obviously, aren't being from America, it's very very rare to find Americans in Bali. It's not like you do
Unheard of.
come across Americans in Bali from time to time, especially if they are there for a particular retreat with a particular celebrity or entrepreneur or something, influencer. But it is very uncommon, because obviously Bali being so very far, and American tourists usually prefer Central, South America or Europe. Yeah, even for Europeans, like not that many British people, but there are a lot of people from Germany, North European countries, and French especially. Actually, I was not the only Slovakian on the island, which was something I was surprised about. There were apparently quite a few of us during that period of time. Um, but yeah, all in all, there are things which I definitely would support paying for, because Bali predominantly lives from tourism. That's their most like significant income. They do export a little bit. I mean, they are very self-sufficient. A lot of things are grown directly on the island of Bali. Other things are imported, mostly predominantly from the local Indonesian islands. Some are imported, of course, from Australia or maybe China, but that's probably as far as they go. Maybe very, very few things are imported further from the world.
Yeah.
But the paying for the nature was a little bit of my P thing that I didn't agree with, to have to pay for waterfall and stuff. Like, hell, come on. This is for everyone. We're not gonna charge you for,
Yeah.
like to go to forest somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't like when there's prejudice against anyone. And I mean, sure, we got more money than the average Balinese, but still, it's like to charge more for the same thing is ridiculous to me. Um, they have Balinese prices and then tourist prices. And I mean, I understand, you make a lot more. It's only a few cents for you, but that tends to create an entitlement in people.
Mm.
And I ran into that with multiple people. And it's lying to me. It's not about the money. It's about, what is how do you be a straight up honest person? It's the principle. It's not the money. And you teach principles which are Wentico, which are negative, which are just low in the people when they're looking for that fix, that extra cash income.
Mm. Yeah, there was that one situation where we actually did walk away from oh, it was a restaurant, it was a place to eat, and we walk away because we were being overcharged. And when we actually asked for clarification with regards to what is actually then the price, we were being lied to our face, and then it's just the whole energy shifted, and then they made us wait for our order for half an hour, and when we were just about to leave, they bring it, but the substance of the food led seemed tampered with. So we just walked away.
Yeah.
It's not something that I have ever done, but I go by if the respect is not served, then I'll just walk away from the table, and whether that's physically or energetically. And yeah, unfortunately, there are situations like that where just because you are Westerner, you do get charged different prices, and this is something we observed and experienced personally in Bulgaria as well throughout the summer, that there are different prices for the locals, and even though on the menu that's the price, you get charged differently on your bill, and in most cases they just don't expect people to either notice or say anything, which a lot of people wouldn't. I know that, for especially people from America, this is not something they feel comfortable doing because, I guess many people from the US have like the maybe potentially sense of guilt because of how the opportunities are perhaps better than in other countries and stuff. But again, if this is not addressed, then what kind of example we are enabling, really? Like it just, I don't know. It's like Aaron said, it doesn't matter, don't care about few cents or few dollars, but it really is about the principle and also the integrity and honesty, which is something that me in myself honor and respect. And this is something like what I offer to people in my proximity, and I, in a sense, expect in return, which is not always obviously granted. But yeah, there are different shades of Bali, just like any place, different shades of Bali for sure. All in all, a great experience, and I definitely would go back. Obviously, having the experience we just had, definitely would be street savvy for the next time, and learned on our own mistakes. We would know how to approach certain things differently, and also with regards to accommodation. The recommendation I would give is don't, if you stay in for a prolonged period of time and you want to island hop, so go from place to place, don't book for the entire months, like that's what we had done. We booked like literally our entire 5 weeks in different accommodations, and then we have changed itinerary multiple times, and we had to cancel, find different places, change the dates and stuff so many times. Then we just decided if we ever go back to stay for a longer period of time and want to stay in different location, we probably just plan week by week, like book for a week, then decide where we're going, find a place, because it just saves you a lot of headache.
Mhm. Yeah, and all in all, people are amazing, very accommodating.
Mm.
There's a family energy just inherent in everyone. And there are a lot of roosters. Um, and walking the streets, you are going to breathe in exhaust. I mean, you can't avoid it. I got the first few days, I was just coughing nonstop. And but if you're on the go jacks or if you're riding around in cars, it's not as bad. It's just walking the streets, especially during rush hour. So try and avoid rush hour and you're fine.
Which is like
Yeah.
midday to 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And on the weekends, it's pretty busy. And especially in Ubud, it's like there's so many people there. I understand why there's so many people there. It's a great area. It's a great town. There's a lot to do, and there's a lot of uh, options in that town. If you're looking for things to do, places to eat, places,
Entertainment,
yeah, entertainments everywhere. And the nature is amazing.
the monkeys,
Yeah, the
the
monkeys
monkeys, absolutely.
tried to steal Mila's purse.
Yeah, and Aaron's mobile phone. And
Yeah.
then, I like the monkey was trying to open his bag where he had his mobile phone, and I just like shut the zipper, and the monkey like started attacking me. So yeah, so definitely be mindful of the monkeys. They have mind of their own and they are not shy.
Mhm.
And yeah, even like with regards to Ubud, when we went back to Ubud after our 3 weeks up north, we actually paid for multiple accommodations simultaneously. We left our things in Ubud, and we just stayed in two different places in
Yeah,
Tagalalang,
Tagalog.
amongst the rice fields, which again was due to false advertising. Some of the aspects of the accommodations were not quite what was in description, which is again to be mindful booking in one place for a long period of time before you visit it. It's easier to change the dates in your Airbnb booking than to cancel it.
Mhm.
So maybe book for a shorter period and then extend if you like it, then book for a long period and then try to get out of your booking.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we found another place in Tagalalang, closer to Ubud, actually walking distance from Ubud. It was kind of like on a outskirt of an Ubud, even though it was technically Tagalalang. And that was amazing
Yeah,
place.
it's
And
great.
usually we found the places that were the best by complete accident. Look nothing special on Airbnb. So usually if things look amazing on Airbnb, in our experience, usually they are not. But that's
Yes.
just our experience. Maybe we're just unlucky. And if they look kind of like a little bit worn out and like, oh yeah, this looks a little bit like cheap or shabby or whatever. And these places seem to have been the best, at least for us.
Mhm.
That's the experience we had at least. So yeah, some really great places. If you do want to go to Ubud, but don't want to stay in the hustle and bustle and the craziness and loudness, then maybe stay on the outskirts of Tagalalang, which is
Yeah.
very quiet, beautiful with the rice fields. And especially if you have your own means of transportation or you are able to ride the bike yourself, it's just a perfect solution because Ubud is very busy, very loud. There is a lot of construction going on in Ubud
Mhm.
from about 8 a.m. in the morning till about 5 p.m. because they do honor their evenings as a family time. So it's not that bad in the evening. But yeah, Tagalang is a good option if you want to be in Ubud, but not quite in the madness of it.
Yeah. Out of the chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, it was an amazing trip, and I will want to go again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we would
Mhm.
definitely consider it as one of our longer stay or one of our two homes maybe
Yeah.
or three homes. Let's
Yeah.
see how that's gonna play out. We
Mhm.
met some very nice people, especially a Japanese lady, retired Japanese in Lovina, who very generously let us stay in her villa for very small amount of money with the swimming pool. So that was yet another opportunity to experience abundance without having a lot of money
Yeah.
available to pay for it. So that was definitely beautiful. We even got invited for dinner, and yeah, it was definitely a connection from a different time and place, a
Mhm.
soul family connection. And we really do hope to revisit our friend from a different timeline again. So that was definitely a beautiful gift, which we did not expect,
Yeah.
and it just happened. So yeah, Bali was a great place that offered a pause, opportunity to pause. There was other things that were going on in our personal life, a lot of things that needed to be seen and addressed came to the surface because, as many people know, when you come on vacation and you are in that stillness and quiet and relaxed mode, and people either get sick or they get confronted with things they don't have time for otherwise. So
Mm.
that's kind of what was also present for us. But now, after we experience what we experience, we know what we need to address.
Yeah.
And Bali definitely gave us a good safe place for these things to be
Yeah.
experienced.
It was a cocoon. It was a
Yeah.
transmutational holy land for us, I think. The transits are still happening, the energy is flowing and we're all connected. And the world might seem to be going insane, but it's just the controls breaking into chaos, which is the natural order. And it's up to you to find your natural chaos and bring that into alignment with reality and create. And in Bali and even in your own, wherever you are, you can find that. So,
Also, the eclipses helped. We
mhm.
were in the eclipse season while we were in Bali, and then entering into Libra season, which is a cardinal season, the equinox, the initiation of the final trimester of this year nine, which is all about culminations and endings and choosing of these different timelines. And now being in Scorpio season, these things are being processed and digested. And yeah, and we are just about to be heading into Mexico by the end of this week. So from our personal experience of Bali, as I already mentioned at the beginning of this video, I found it to be a yin energy, a place of a conception and seeding of a different consciousness, different experience, and the past and the future existing simultaneously in the present. So the choices are available for whatever you want to manifest in the upcoming times. And for us, that's what Mexico represents, the young energy, the manifestation of whatever got seeded and conceived in the yin of Bali.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's the continuation of the process because the process never ends, really.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. All right. Well, I think that was a good synopsis of our experience in Bali.
Yeah, we wanted to record something which is more of a lived experience rather than just astrology. Obviously, we talk about astrology a lot, and there are other things you can just get from ChatGPT these days. So we wanted to offer something that ChatGPT can't, which is the actual lived experience.
Hmm.
And this is just through the lens of our own subjective perspective and
Hmm.
perception of reality. So I'm sure if other people
Yeah.
have experienced Bali, they would probably experience it in a different way, their own way.
Well,
And I'm sure even for us, if you go back, we'll experience it differently.
well, yeah, and if you are looking for astrocartography advisement, let me know. But we were both Gemini rising there. And so it was the light and the dark of the personal experience, the perception of reality and the felt presence. And since that's my natural eighth house, it was very internalized, external, seeing the energies through the other people and through the dynamics and feeling it in the land. It was very different for me. I've never been in that energy. And for you, it was your fourth
Hmm.
house. So it was like a return to maybe ancient spirit for you.
Well, it was definitely an opportunity for reset, which I feel like was necessary because of where I was at prior to the trip. I felt really burned out and started feeling really resentful of what I was doing, and um, I felt kind of like I felt like I was lacking the excitement and the passion for my offerings. So I really needed to just give myself a complete break from everything, from social media, from work, from readings, from everything, to just be able to reset and really reevaluate what am I doing, how am I doing things, and why am I doing what I'm doing, and how I want to go forward. And especially as this is the final 3 months of this year, like really look back and seek what still holds a value and meaning with regards to what I've been doing for the past 3 years with my YouTube channel and my
Mhm.
social media and my services, and also prepare for the next year, the 2026, the year of reset, and where I want to go from here. So I really cherish the opportunity to give myself this complete break, and now coming to the point where I'm actually excited. I don't know exactly where I'm going with all of this, but just being excited about going back to, well, back to work, not back, going forward with my work and with my service. So yeah, so I'm really grateful for the opportunity to give myself that, and to come to the point of like wanting to actually um, go out again and offer like myself, I guess, and what I can to others and to the community and stuff. So yeah, so there was a great opportunity for that, the complete pause.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
I think we leave it at that. And yeah, as we mentioned, we are actually currently visiting my family in Slovakia, and we'll be heading off to the other side in
Mhm.
upcoming few days. So um, until
Next time.
exactly. So have a great time, everyone. Good
Yes.
Scorpio season, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.